What's up, nerds? This is Jessup, back at you again with another Risk of Rain 2 video. This one we're going to be going over graphics and what might be the most optimal graphic settings. So let's go ahead and get started. Screen shake. Its default is 1.00. However, I prefer it a little bit lower because I like to see a little bit of screen shake, but not much. The most optimal setting would be 0, so your visuals aren't messed up. You obviously want in-game HUD, and you want damage numbers on. Keyboard and mouse, that's all you change that to what you want. Controller, again, that's you, change it to what you want. Audio, change it to what you want. I recommend mute when unfocused, that way when you tab out of the game, you don't hear anything. Here we go, here's the video settings. Now, my resolution is, for some reason, bumped lower than it should be. Apply that. There we go, 1920 by 1080. I don't know why it was lower than that. That must have been a little weird glitch. I have a 144Hz monitor, so I do 143. Full screen, yes. VSync off, you do not want VSync. FPS limit, you do not want this on. Unless you're on a laptop and you're trying to save power, then you should probably have that at like 30 or 60. That way you're not stressing a GPU more than shit. Gamma boost, change this if you have a weird monitor. HUD scale, it's a little big for me, so I scale it down to about 75. It can go down to 10. So change it to whatever you want, and it can go up to, oh wow, 400. That's a lot. I'm gonna leave mine at 75. Graphic settings, here's the big one. Now, shadows. If you're going for the most optimal build for frame rates, you want shadows off. You want shadow resolution low, you want shadow cascades to 1, and shadow distance to low. Now, if you really need to squeeze a little bit more performance out, you can lower your texture rate all the way down to, 128? There you go. However, textures, as long as you're above 2 gigs, doesn't really matter too much. So I like full. You can get away with half or a quarter, they don't look too bad. But I'm gonna keep mine at full. Now, VFX culling bias. Now, this is essentially for particle effects on the screen. Culling bias means it's going to pretty much remove particles, essentially. It's going to lower the density so your CPU and GPU can work better. Some particles are based off GPU, some particles are based off CPU, and they sort of just mush them together into one setting. So obviously the most optimal would be low. However, I like mine on ultra. I like a little flashy stuff going on. I should probably bump this down to medium to help with frame rates. Alright, so next is level detail reduction. This will reduce the amount of polygons on each model. A little bit different than bias. Bias determines how many models are on the screen, as well as the polygon count. This simply just does polygon count, nothing else. So I like to keep mine on ultra. The best setting obviously would be -3. Soft particles, it helps with lighting. Whenever you have this on, lighting is a little bit more smooth. Lighting from particles is a little bit more smooth, so I like it off. Doesn't really do anything, it just makes it a little bit better. Foliage wind, you can turn it off, but it doesn't really do too much. It just makes things a little bit more active. Ideally, the best setting would be off, obviously, so you don't have things flickering, catching your eye, and making you miss shots and whatnot. I like mine on, looks a little pretty. Bloom. Bloom right now is a little glitched. You can't really turn it off. I've tried messing with other settings to turn it off, but you just can't really do it for some reason. So take it as it is. SSAO, super sampling, ambient occlusion. You do not want this on under any circumstance. 1, it costs a lot of performance. 2, all it does is create shadows in corners of items, corners of models and stuff like that. It's totally unnecessary. However, if you're running like a 2070, 2080 Ti, something like that, if you're running like a beefed up graphics card and you do not care about frame rates whatsoever, throw it on. But I recommend keeping it off no matter what. Sobo lighting, it's a little bit better lighting rendering for particles and stuff like that. Turn it off, doesn't really do too much. Corpse cleanup, I used to keep it on hidden, however now I keep it on immediate, because once it reaches the max corpses right here, the bodies will immediately be dispersed instead of hidden, where they'll slowly start to disappear. You want that immediate performance gain. Now obviously best performance would be 0 on immediate. However, I like to see a few bodies, so I keep it around 25. Doesn't get too cluttered. 10 is okay, but I mean, if you're gonna have it on, might as well just go 25. And that should be it. Thanks for watching.